Amber, you also mentioned about House Bill 742. What can you tell us about the upcoming bill? What is this going to mean for the drone industry?
Absolutely. So I get excited about things like this. Some people probably don't. But what we're seeing in industry is that right now in Virginia, there's not a lot of conversations about what you can do, where you can fly, where you can get your information from. So one of the key things, and this will tie into later when we have a different discussion, but this year, our General Assembly has passed House Bill 742. And that delineates the Department of Aviation to promulgate regulation on takeoff and landings of political subdivisions. So what that all means is that we have, since July, have been working when that became technically final for us. We have been working on creating that. And that bill has us consult with industry and have representatives from different organizations. There's 4 key areas in that bill, if anyone wants to refer to that. But different sectors of the industry, to include small and medium business, to include localities, to really make sure we encompass some regulation that everyone can live with and right, that really is helpful. And so it'll give guidance to our local governments and the localities of what they can and cannot do regarding takeoff and landings. And so industry is excited about that, in the sense that they don't want patchwork, where they don't want one county to do this and I go to the next county and I don't know what their regulation is and vice versa. And so it's going to give a kind of an even playing field. The way I like to look at it is you have federal regulation, right? And as long as you meet or exceed federal regulation in a state, it doesn't impede on federal regulation, you can do it, right, as a state. So that's what we're looking at. We want all localities to meet federal regulation first and foremost, and then we're going to look at what that looks like. And so why that's important in sharing this even today and all that is we will be opening that up for public comment. We are in the process of creating some language, and then we have an open comment period for that. So industry, citizens, your recreational flyer, your 107 flyer, any and everybody can share that and can put comments in there. And then from there, the unique part of this bill is that it's due out to the public as a final bill in December, because it becomes an active bill and law. It becomes law January 1, 2021. So it won't wait until next fiscal year. It'll be calendar year. And so that's exciting, because it also gives some guidance. Is right now it's like, I can't do this in this area, I can't do that. Then it also helps industry and it helps the recreational flyer and the 107 flyers as well. It gives them some more boundaries to fly within.
Yeah, knowing what
John, go ahead, Mike.
No, I was going to say, knowing what you can do is the biggest barrier, I think. But understandably, if we're on a technological frontier, right?
So it's actually, if you don't mind, I'd like to, this is John Eberhardt, I'd like to add a few remarks based on what Amber said, because, a couple of specific examples of what she was talking to. So, Michael, you just said knowing what you can do is one of the biggest barriers on a technological frontier. So right. What's really interesting is, the flight information exchange was a result of that, right? People wanted more information to try to understand what the situation was on the ground, to try and have situational awareness. And as an authoritative SDSP, right, as Department of Aviation works through how something like House Bill 742 works, the fix was not designed with HB 742 in mind. It's only loosely coupled to it. But the state already has a single portal where a USS can go and get that data programmatically, or where the public or an operator can go and get it from the website. So to Amber's point, you can go to the Department of Aviation and what types of local advisories are in effect. And it really makes the state much more user-friendly, because I think, Michael, to your point, you're providing people some clarity, right? You're providing people guidance. And what's really neat about that is, just from my perspective, that is the Virginia model here, right? The Virginia model is to provide clarity and guidance and to be open. And the other thing that's really neat is just how collaborative the model is here in Virginia, right? And we were talking about the Drone Up test in Danville, right? And how that was a partnership with CIT, and Amber advises CIT. So even though Amber wasn't involved directly with that test, her input was part of that test. because the CIP team comes to Department of Aviation to get input. The Flight Information Exchange is very much a collaborative effort, right? So even though Department of Aviation is leading it, CIT is involved, Virginia DOT is involved, Department of Emergency Management is involved, Department of Forestry, right? And it's all meant to be very collaborative and very open. And so I think that the kind of final thought that I'd like to share as someone who works a lot with DOAV is I just want to emphasize how much I see the Department of Aviation wanting to get this right. They want to get this right? They're not just trying to rush something through or push through a policy. They really want to get it right, and they're very open. To kind of quote, paraphrase, I'm going to date myself here and paraphrase in a car commercial from the 1980s. They're not your father's regulator, right?
Yeah.
It's really a very collaborative, open model. And I've watched as Amber has worked with industry and stakeholders and constituents and, really worked to balance those equities and get it right. And so I think the final thought I would say as someone who works with DOAV is, if you have questions, ideas, suggestions, Amber is one of the most responsive people I've ever worked with. So I'd strongly encourage you to reach out to DOAV and Amber. And sorry, Amber, I just probably got filled up your inbox with more communications. But I mean, really the desire to get it right is just so clear.